Previously on Lucifer.
Alright everyone, it's me Jack back again with another video like I promised last week. Now from my manga collection so far series, I thought we'd go back and take a look at an anime that we already started reviewing and we should carry on to the next season. With that being JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but this time we're talking about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable.
You're going out, I've no time to lose. It's your chance to be. Shout it out, we all make mistakes, no doubt about it. That's the way it goes. So let your rocket, don't you stop it, not a puppet. Visualize you're a killer bee, and just so free. That's all I need. This is your path to be. We're all here just for all the fun. Now you're jamming, jamming hard, yeah. Hype it up all once again. Turn it, hype it up. Now you're jamming, jamming hard, yeah. Hype it up all once again. Turn it, hype it up.
So for those of you who don't know, Diamond Unbreakable, or Diamondo wa Kurukurugai, completely butchered that. Diamondo wa Kura Kanai, or sometimes translated as Diamond Does Not Crash, is the fourth story arc written and of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, written and illustrated by Hirohiko Araki. It was serialized in Shonen Jump from April 21st, 1992 to November 13th, 1995, with 174 chapters collected into 18 tankobon volumes. In its original publication, it was originally titled JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4, Josuke Higashikata. It was preceded by the last part, Stardust Crusaders, and then followed up by the next part, Part 5, Golden Wind. This arc is notable, well not noticeable, it's notable for introducing the stand arrow, which for those who don't know, the arrow was retroactively revealed to be the source of Dio's stand, and also the source of the Joestar family stands. The arc was adapted into an anime television series by David Production, which began on April 2nd, 2016, and ended on December 24th, 2016, for a total of 39 episodes. A live-action film adaptation by both Toho and Warner Brothers was adapted, just titled JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable Chapter 1, which was released on August 4th, 2017. And since then, Viz Media had re-released the manga into its hardcover English, it got re-released in English as part of the JoJonium hardcover collection from mid-2019 all the way to mid-2021, consisting of a total of 9 volumes. One little note I do want to add as well, I know I should have tackled this since my part 1 review of JoJo. I want to talk about as well in this part and on the next few parts that I will review of JoJo when it comes to that, I want to talk about the localized names of certain characters, well, mostly stands, but there are some changes that were made to certain characters and stands because of the copyright law act outside of Japan, but it will be an extra segment within the video. That just frightened the crap out of me of my manga's falling over. So yeah, there'll be an extra section after I talk about the main plot, so spoilers ahead. Yeah, I'll be talking about the well, I'll be giving like the original Japanese name, well, the original name that was created for the series, and then I'll give you the localized name that it got changed to, and obviously the original namesake as well. So, without further ado or wasting any more time, let's get straight into it. So, the basic plot of, not Stardust Crusaders, Diamonds Unbreakable, set in 1999, 12 years after Stardust Crusaders ended, Jotaro Kujo tracks down Josuke Higashikata, the illegitimate son of Joseph Joestar, to help him find a magical bow and arrow which grants people the ability to make a stand. Along the way, Josuke and his friends discover that a stand-using serial killer is loose in their hometown of Morio, so they all must have to set out and stop him for once and for all. Now we'll be diving into the actual story, so if none of you have actually watched Diamond is Unbreakable before, you can easily buy it on Blu-ray, DVD, find it somewhere, stream it. Well, it's not on Netflix in the UK, so obviously I had to buy these Blu-ray sets that I got on Amazon and eBay. And also, you could easily find it subbed and dubbed on Crunchyroll as well, so if you guys haven't seen it, turn the video off, go straight on to Crunchyroll or whatever, and just watch every episode of Part 4. Or unless you don't care about spoilers, then carry on watching. So the season begins with a narration by Koichi Hidase, but we're immediately introduced to a much older looking version of Jotaro, who says that he's looking for Josuke Higashikata, who turns out to be the illegitimate son of Joseph Joestar. And let's not forget, at the end of Part 2, if you actually watch the end credit scene.
Hey, wait a sec. You're Japanese, aren't you?
I am. Why do you ask?
In that case, watch your damn bag! My only daughter has been married to a Japanese man for over 20 years. Fell in love on the other side of the world and never came home again. Her son rarely gets to see his own grandfather! That's why I'll never forgive the Japanese!
So, at some point between Battle Tendency and Stardust Crusaders in the early 80s, well, late 70s, early 80s, Joseph ended up having a one-night stand with Josuke's mother, Tomoko. So anyway, Jotaro tells Josuke that he is the bastard child of a senile old pensioner, who will be entitled to a portion of the old man's inheritance once Joseph finally kicks the bucket. But Jotaro comes with another message about some guy called Angelo, who is basically like supposed to be one of the worst criminals in fictional history, or at least in Japanese history. And so, with Jotaro's warning in tail, Jotaro also teaches Josuke about the brief concept of stands. But with Jotaro's warning, Josuke ends up running into Angelo anyway. But Angelo ends up killing Josuke's grandfather with his stand, Aqua Necklace. After getting his ass beaten by the two JoJo's, Angelo tells both Josuke and Jotaro about a high school student who was the one that gave him the stand by piercing his body with the stand creating arrow. A little bit of time goes by and Josuke and Koichi do eventually coming across the stand, bow and arrow. But along with the bow, that really doesn't really do much aside from being the fact that it's, a bow. They come across the Nijimura brothers, being Keicho Nijimura and Okuyatsu Nijimura, they also have to end up using their stands in a fight against mainly just Josuke, with Keicho's stand being Bad Company and Okuyatsu's stand called The Hand. During the confrontation, the two brothers, Koichi, who earlier got impaled with the arrow, ends up getting healed by by Josuke's stand, Crazy Diamond. And then eventually, little Koichi actually ends up developing his own stand, which he calls Echoes. But after Keijo gets absolutely fried by a stand called Red Hot Chili Pepper, the Duwang gang end up finding out that the arrows were actually bought by Okuyasu and Keijo's father, but he purchased them from Enya the Hag, who, if you guys remember correctly, was an enemy stand user in Stardust Crusaders. But after telling Jotaro this information, they realize that they have to definitely get the arrow back so they can hand it over to the members of the Speedwagon Foundation. A few episodes end up going by of a few like stand user of the week episodes. They eventually actually end up taking out Chili Pepper. Well, Red Hot Chili Pepper, if you want to know the proper name. And making some new friends along the way, they eventually get Joseph Joestar to become all the way down to Morio. So after we get the old geezer into the group, there are some more obvious stand user of the week episodes. But I forgot where I was now. Yeah, is when we were actually introduced to the main antagonist of the part, who's kind of like he's like a very Jack the Ripper murderer who looks oddly a lot like David Bowie, called Yoshikage Kira, who has a stand called Killer Queen.
Killer Queen, 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 Killer Queen. Come on! Killer Queen, 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 Killer Queen.
Or, as they would say in the Japanese version, Killer Queen. And so the chase is finally on, for all the main characters to chase down Yoshikage Kira and finally stop him from being a weird combination of Patrick Bateman and Jack the Ripper. So a few close calls and near attempts to catch Kira. Yoshikage ends up taking over a small family by swapping his face with the father of the family, said family. And also ends up evolving his stand by stabbing himself with the stand creating arrow, giving his stand, Killer Queen, a new ability called Bites the Dust. And he ends up, once the fight between Josuke and Kira finally wraps up, and dragging out a little bit longer than to be honest, and what I feel like it shouldn't drag out as much as like the fight. Like it's almost, I would say it's either almost or slightly longer than the fight between Jotaro and Dio. But it drags out a little bit longer than what it needs to. But once it was all taken out, Kira is finally stopped just before the last minute attempt to use Bites the Dust. He ends up in the afterlife because an ambulance ended up reversing over his head, killing him instantly. Which makes him arguably the second JoJo to be actually taken out by sheer luck. But everything eventually ends up wrapping up in the end. The arrow gets picked up by the Speedwagon Foundation. Okuyasu tries to find a way to restore his dad from his deformities, and Koichi becomes the first gamer to lose his virginity. And also Josuke ends up robbing Joseph, while Joseph adopts an invisible baby. It's called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for a reason. So yeah, that was the basic story. So now we shall move on to the localized names. Now to make this easier on the video and instead of wasting your time, I'm not going to go over every individual localized name in total of JoJo Part 4. You could probably find some more better videos somewhere on YouTube for that anyway. But I thought I'd talk about some of the localized names, mainly of just the stands that got changed from Part 4. So I will obviously be telling the original name that it was given, telling you what the namesake of it is, like the what it's supposed to reference, and what it got altered to. And for those of you who don't know what the naming convention in JoJo is like, It's very similar to that of the naming convention from Dragon Ball. Like with Dragon Ball, characters would be named after like a piece of food or like something relating to food, like Kakarot being Goku's name is a play on the English word carrot. Vegeta, vegetable. Saiyan means vegetable in Japanese. And also like obviously Frieza being related to a freezer. But in case of JoJo, since Hirohiko Araki is a big fan of music, mainly being like old rock bands, heavy metal bands, jazz, R&B, like all that stuff. Like he's a big, like he loves his music, and so he would go out of his way to name characters and stands after something. It has to be referencing either an artist or band, an album or a song. So without wasting any more time than what I've already have to you guys, we're going to go straight into the references and names of certain stands. So the first one we got is Crazy Diamond, which is a reference to the Pink Floyd song Shine On You Crazy Diamond. In the dub it got changed, and in some subtitles depending on where you watch it, because the localized version mainly got changed with the English releases of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, because copyright law is obviously very different outside of Japan. But anyway, yeah, Crazy Diamond is a reference to the Pink Floyd song Shine On You Crazy Diamond. It got altered to Shining Diamond in the dub and in the English release of the manga. Next we got Echoes, which is a reference to another Pink Floyd song of the same name, Echoes. In the dub, it got altered to Reverb. And then you got Yoshikage Kira's stand, Killer Queen, reference to the Queen song. Killer Queen got altered to Deadly Queen in the dub. Then you got one of Killer Queen's forms, Sheer Heart Attack, is a reference to the Queen album of the same name. Got altered to Heart Attack in the dub. And then you got Bad Company, being a reference to the heavy metal band Bad Company, got altered to Worst Company in the dub. Then you got Red Hot Chili Pepper, obviously a reference to the rock band the Red Hot Chili Peppers, got shortened to just Chili Pepper in the dub. And then you got Surface, a reference to the British rock band Surface, got altered to Show Off in the English release. Then you got Pearl Jam, a reference to the heavy metal band Pearl Jam, got altered to Pole Jam in the English version. And then you got the ability of Yoshikage's father, called Atom Heart Father, which is a reference to a Pink Floyd album called Atom Heart Mother, but in the dub it just got altered to Heart Father. Then you got Boy to Man, which is a reference to the rap group Boys to Men. It got altered to Boys Man Man in the dubbed version, and it is very funny. But then you also got another one called Earth, Wind and Fire, which is a reference to the R&B group Earth, Wind and Fire, but in the dub it got altered to Terra Ventus. And then you got Highway Star, being a reference to the Deep Purple song Highway Star. It got altered to Highway Go-Go in the dub. And then you got Enigma, reference to the band Enigma, got changed to Mysterioso in the dub. And then finally you got Cheap Trick, which is a reference to the rock band Cheap Trick, got changed to Cheap Trap in the dub. So that's all I can talk about when it comes to the localized versions. You can probably find them all on like the JoJo wiki or like on any other website, or you can find like people doing tier lists on like what's the best localized JoJo name and so forth and all that. But yeah, there's a lot out there. Now we've talked about that, we can finally move on to the characters. And I know there's a lot of characters in JoJo Part 4, but I only wrote down ones for characters that I thought would actually be worth talking about. So, without further ado, we'll get straight into that. So first, obviously, we got Josuke Higashikata, the current JoJo of Part 4. Obviously, with Josuke, unlike other protagonists in the series, yeah, there is no obvious second Joe in his name. Like, mostly, yeah, mainly because you got loads of other characters with the Joe and Joe in their name as well, such as like Jonathan Joestar, Joseph Joestar, Jotaro Kujo, Jolene Kujo, Gianna Giovanna, Johnny Joestar, and so forth. But the Skei in the end of his first name, in some parts in Japanese, in some kanji in Japanese, it can also be read as Joe at the same time. So, if you think about it, his name really would be JoJo Higashikita. But yeah, Josuke is mostly a nice, calm, easygoing guy, but obviously with his personality, it can do a complete 180 flip if someone ends up insulting his hair. They can insult anything about him, whether it be his friends, family, his like clothes and all that, but talk shit about his hair, he will go absolutely batshit insane to kill you. Next, other character I've got to talk about, Jotaro Kujo. There's not really too much I can say about Jotaro, other than what I already talked about him in my part 3 video. The only real things that happened, obviously, is the change of clothes that Jotaro has, mainly just being the colour scheme, and also the fact that Jotaro is a lot older and more wiser with stands and with his profession trying to be a marine biologist. But he's also not as hot-headed as what he used to be in part 3. He's actually a lot more calm and cooler with everything else around him. Next we got Koichi Hirose. In this part we're introduced to Koichi, who kind of serves as a audience perspective, who in some situations mainly just responds and reacts to some of the situations that anyone would be like if they saw some of this stuff for the first time. Because in my personal telling of any of this, I know some people that were actually introduced to JoJo not only through like the memes, but also through the mainly through part 4, because part 4 was currently going on at the time. But yeah, the way I can describe Koichi, he's like, his relationship with Josuke, it reminds me a lot of like the very close friendship between like Goku and Krillin from Dragon Ball, or Luffy and Zoro from One Piece. But that's all I can really say about Koichi, other than the fact that he is actually a really good character in the series. But we do end up seeing more of him, spoilers, in one of the later parts of JoJo. Then we got Okuyatsu Nijimura. Okuyatsu, I can only describe as the comic relief of the season. Very much like Polnareff in Stardust Crusaders. I don't really know what the best way I can describe Okuyatsu other than the fact that he's just a major fucking moron. But we all love him all the same, and also do not look up fan art of Josuke and Okuyatsu because it is not good at all. Mainly because me not being the biggest fan of yaoi art ever. Next we got Rohan Kishibe. Rohan is literally one of the best characters in the entire season. Because when he first appears, he starts off as an antagonist, but then once he gets the living piss beaten out of him by Josuke, he does become a member of the main group and becomes one of the most relatable characters after that. Basically, he's rude, self-centered, and honestly does not give two shits about anyone's opinion of him, which makes him an absolute giga chad of a character. Then we got the old man himself, Joseph Joestar. Now, for those of you who already know me personally, my favorite one of my top favorite JoJo's in all of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is Joseph Joestar. Mainly because I found him amazing. Like, he's my favorite character in Part 2. He was amazing in Stardust Crusaders, but he's just everyone's favorite old geezer, and he's back, but he's even more senile than he is before. But every time he comes onto screen, things just immediately become like 100 times funnier than what they should be. But all I would say is, when you're watching Part 4, watch the episodes where him and Josuke come across the invisible baby. Easily one of the funniest episodes in the entire season. Then we got Reimi Sugimoto. Reimi is a very vital part of the season because it's because of her that we are slowly able to learn about the main villain of the arc, Yoshikage Kira, and she is also definitely up there with the young version of Suzy Q, Lisa, and Holly Ku, Jo, and Jolene as part of best girls in all of JoJo, including Foo Fighters as well. And Speedwagon. Then we obviously got Arnold, the dog who you don't see die in the show, but it's the first dog you see that doesn't get harmed at all. Mainly because of the fact that Arnold's already dead. But Arnold is still a good boy. He's also one of the biggest good boys in all of JoJo. Then we got Yukiko Yamagishi. I really hate that character. She is honestly the English dub voice actress is really funny and really nice, but the character of Yukiko, not a big fan, honestly. I'm really not a big fan at all of Yukiko Yamagishi. Even when I bought All-Star Battle R, I mostly try to refuse to play as Yukiko, but obviously can't help it because you gotta play as every single character in a JoJo fighting game. But yeah, she is arguably the possible worst character in the entirety of JoJo Part 4. Then we finally got our villain of Part 4, Yoshikage Kira. Yeah, Yoshikage Kira is one of easily the best villains of JoJo, and the entire series. He's better than Dio, hands down. Dio in Part 1, yeah, is basic shit. Then you got the Pillar Men in Part 2. They're awesome, but there could have been more of them. We could have had more of them throughout Part 2. Then we got Dio coming back, but this time with his stand, The World. I mean, it's just Dio again. But Yoshikage Kira, when we first introduced to him in the season and in the manga, it feels like he's only come out of his own series. But then only to, just like what you would get from Beavis and Butthead, it's like he walked into a completely different situation and just took over the whole thing from there on out. Yeah, despite how he gets taken out by luck, I still do think he's not only one of the best villains of JoJo, but he's one of the best villains in most of anime, to date. I would put Kira up there with the likes of Griffith from Berserk, or Frieza from Dragon Ball, or I don't know, fucking Buggy the Clown from One Piece. But yeah, my final verdict though of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4. My overall thoughts on Diamond is Unbreakable: it is one of the better parts of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I know it is easily one of the fan favourites, up there with parts 4, 5, and 7 being the biggest fan favourite parts of the whole franchise. I would definitely say I can see why, but it doesn't drag as much as it does Part 3 does, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. It knows what a story it has to tell. It shows us a nice amount of character interactions. And yeah, I would say just check it out. If you've already watched parts 1, 2, and 3 of JoJo, definitely watch Diamond is Unbreakable when you can. Yeah, that's all I can say. So make sure you guys and comment what your thoughts are on Diamond is Unbreakable in the description down below. Don't forget to follow me on my social medias, on my Instagram, on my Twitter page, on my Facebook page as well. Follow me on Twitch if you want to, or anything like that. It's all down in the description down below. But yeah, if you guys want me to talk about parts 5 and 6 of JoJo, let me know as well in the comments down below, or feel free to DM me on Twitter or on any of my socials. But yeah, I might end up reviewing another anime at some point. If you guys want me to talk about different animes as well, give me suggest a series to me, and I'll end up eventually talking about it. And also do more video game retrospectives as well. nonetheless. So yeah, I've been Jack, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon as well, so you'll be up to date on all my posts regularly. I'll see you guys in the next one.